Like a wise man on Tumblr by the name of Kirby-of-the-Stars once said, what the fuck is going on? Well, they didn't say that. People have the audacity to equate vanilla with plain, the fruit of a delicate orchid pollinated by hand, worth its weight in solid gold and beyond. The fussy black and cream jewel of the American continent. You sick son of a bitch. Imagine a world without vanilla. No blondies, no pound cake, no creme brulee, no Coke floats, no cream soda, no satiny New York-style cheesecakes, no warm apple pie a la mode, no velvety complexity to bring out the complex notes in chocolate desserts, no depth of flavor in your cakes and cookies and milkshakes. All in just a few precious seeds or grams of paste or perfumed teaspoons of liquid black platinum. What you don't understand could fill the Library of Alexandria 7 times over and then some. You ungrateful bastard, I'm going to kill you. People have been killed over these, you know. Farms burned to the ground, crops destroyed or stolen, millions and nearly $1 billion spent on vanilla each year, treated with the same reverence that many reserve for gold. In 2018 alone, increased rates of violence had broken out in Madagascar over severe theft due to the crop being considered as precious as silver. Kilos upon kilos stolen and resold for highly lucrative profit, all to a consumer market too ignorant to truly care. A single bean could run in consumer markets for as high as $20, and a kilo could run up to $2,000. Farmers saw very little of this money, despite risking their lives and livelihoods for it. But I digress. I know, right?
I did not know that at all.
Yeah, exactly. This is my co-host Sosa. She's a lovely, lovely person. Vanilla's history is tainted with bloodshed and murderous demands disguised as a free market, profiting off disenfranchised people that will never truly be free. Capitalism is a shackle in their lives, placed by colonizers that push for more and more and give very little in return. But I'm no journalist. I'm an asshole with a bachelor's degree in baking and pastry that majored in business. Hell, I graduated from the Culinary Institute of America, degree pending at the time of recording. So what am I doing here talking to whomever is listening about the vanilla trade and vanilla itself? Well, it's a bit of a funny story. Growing up, I was, and am, obsessed with food. I watched the Food Network religiously, had a hoard of cookbooks, and received their magazines monthly, thank you, Mom, as well as getting a yearly cookbook from Food and Wine that had recipes from the hottest cookbooks of that year. Got an easy bake oven when I was 10 that changed my life and gave me food poisoning. I think I was 11 or 12 when I met Elton Brown at a book signing event in Manhattan that my mom took me to. He was drunk as hell, and I was so starstruck that I couldn't form a coherent sentence around the man. But at that point in the evening, it didn't matter. That is the lovely sounds of Brooklyn that you are hearing in the form of car honks. I was 14 when I met the lovely Lydia Bastianich at Italy Flatiron in the city. I remember looking for black garlic, and they were the only shop that carried it at the time. I was deep in my emo phase and had my hair covering one eye like a freak. My mom insisted I take a picture with one of my childhood heroes that I was too embarrassed to approach. The photo was still one of my most prized possessions. Oh, and I did eventually work at Italy for a few months of externship. Never again. Still love Lydia. At 17, I started a small business in which I'd make cookies and other treats at home and sell them to my peers and teachers in high school. It got so successful that selling things at school became banned after I graduated. That helped me open my first bank account, make my first $1,000. I overthink the stoners, I really do. At 18, I made a horrible decision and applied for culinary school alongside my best friend Sosa.
Hello.
She went to chase her dreams, and I went because it was the only school I applied to and thought it would make me happy since it aligned with my interests. I was very, very wrong. Regardless of that, there is some good to come of this. I have an ungodly amount of knowledge in all things pastry, and because of that, I can answer any and all questions you might have on the subject. I can also describe in excruciating detail anything regarding butter, chocolate, vanilla, and even the history of some local supermarkets. So ask away at the Tumblr link in the description below and I'll gladly answer. For now, I and my co-host Sosa are here to talk about vanilla and its applications, how to repurpose used pods, and shops to buy sustainable vanilla from for all your baking endeavors. So, let's start with one of the most common questions about vanilla.
Well, for me, I didn't even know the ethics behind it, the type of agriculture technique they use on it. Do you mind going more in depth about how it ruins the ecosystem?
Of course.
The technique they use?
Yeah. Vanilla is typically produced through slash and burn farming, as is the same growing method for palm trees and palm oil production. It typically destroys the land for any creatures that usually live there and leads to increased rates of death for endangered species.
Oh my goodness. Oh, am I supposed to read that? Or I can freestyle.
You can freestyle, but you can also read some of these.
So this is my first time doing a podcast, so I'm very intimidated. But next question, we were in the supermarket together, and we came across vanilla imitation. right? And usually I go for it because it's always cheaper, like $5 cheaper, half the price usually. And I can't forget the moment you drop the word that is beaver anus.
Yeah.
And yes, please add on to.
So imitation vanilla extract, also known as vanillin, is derived from a chemical compound found in beaver anus. It's also more commonly derived from specific tree pulp, but if you're going to pick up imitation vanilla, you're probably buying beaver anus.
I'm in shock because I always was like, when and where do scientists decide to, come upon a beaver and decide to eat its anus, Like, to me, that's, it's just such a insane or idiotic discovery to decide, okay, let's eat it. My next question is that for vanilla, how do you think vanilla was portrayed in the CIA? Do you think it was like talked about a lot, its purposes or anything? Do you feel like vanilla had a food bias even at culinary school?
Well, I will say at culinary school we really didn't talk about our ingredients and where they were sourced from very often, and more so we're just told to follow recipes. When it came to using vanilla in certain applications, it would just be that the recipe called for it, such as making ice cream or pound cake. But for the most part, we just straight up didn't use it. And you would have these fridges with giant sacks of vanilla beans in them.
It's hard. It's very tempting. No, I think, what's the word? I remember that no one really cared about taking care of ingredients either in the culinary, because I think it was also the way they threw it away. I don't know. Do you think they made good use of the vanilla pods once it was extracted?
Well, it depends on the chef.
That's true.
If you have a chef like Chef McCarrick, he would put vanilla. He would take the split pods that were used for making bread, like sweetbreads.
Oh yeah.
And
give recipe ideas, ways to use excess leftover vanilla bean skin, without the.
So when you dry out those bean pods after you've done using the seeds inside, you could dry them out over the heat of an oven like our Chef Berlioz did. He was our fundamental chef. Or you can just stick them in sugar, so you can infuse the sugar with vanilla flavor. And when you have these dried husks, you could then grind them up in a spice grinder, and you have vanilla powder that you can use for any other application that you would say you use vanilla extract for.
No, it's that, and it's really the aromatics is awesome.
It's lovely.
It's really awesome. Your overall, why? So I didn't even know that vanilla had a certain hate towards it. Like that Tumblr post you just read. To me, I'm in shock, because to me, I think when vanilla's done right, you can appreciate the dessert. Where do you think this type of hate towards vanilla came from? Do you think it comes from gender norms or anything? Or it comes from, I don't know how to say it, but I think you get the gist of the question.
I do. I feel like, in say the past 50, maybe 60 years, when vanilla became more commercially available, it was relegated from this exotic, delicious flavor and more normalized to become this very common ingredient that most people associate with being either the plain flavor of ice cream that you put a lot of toppings on, or, It's a good question. It's actually a really good question.
Yeah, no. We can always come back to it. Because it's so interesting, because all I know is that in general, food has some type of biases always. It involves race, it involves gender, and for example, in my anthropology class, I believe, we were studying how humans label things, such as often, so we did a test, right? We looked up on Google every single food item. We looked up chocolates. All we saw is woman eating chocolate, woman holding chocolate. But when it came to the guy with the chef hat with the Godiva pose and, whisking that chocolate up, it was always male.
Yeah.
right? When we looked, so then we were like, okay, let's put in steak. The second we put in steak, it's a man. All of it is men, or it's a sexy woman wearing like very skin type, like you can see her skin eating the steak.
Yeah.
You know, so it like this kind of small test, I encourage you guys to do it. Any type of food, strawberry, you'll just see woman. So we were looking at this, we're like, wow, where did this gender norm come from? And we found out that, you know, like, and the question was like, women were always in the kitchen. That was their place first, right? How did this happen? And sadly, we found out like the first person that made the culinary textbooks, I forgot the dates, I'm very bad.
It's okay.
But the few people that did were men, so cooking professionally is viewed by men, but anything that's home cooking is viewed by women. And it's often delicate things are associated with women. So so that's why, to connect it back to the vanilla bean topic, I can't help but be curious what's its own bias in that fact, if that gives you a bigger picture. Like, I'm curious of that's why sadly women are viewed as weak. I wonder why vanilla is also viewed as a weak basic flavor, and I wonder if that association has parallels. I think it's an interesting thing to discuss, because often sweet things are associated with women or being a pussy. Sadly.
I might have to cut that out.
Okay, it's associated with being weak.
Yes. I would say the sexualization of vanilla, that's a sentence.
Yes, there is the sexualization of vanilla and chocolate. Those two things,
Yeah.
it's so strange.
They're treated as more feminine ingredients. Chocolate specifically, like chocolates for Valentine's Day. Get your wife chocolates if she's mad at you.
Yeah.
But that we'll save more of that for the chocolate episode, of course. We can't get into that now. But vanilla has always been, oh, you two have sex like that? That's so vanilla.
Yeah, why out of all vocabularies, why vanilla? Like, why call... It's just so interesting, right?
Yeah, I think it's mostly due to the way it's being viewed as a plain ingredient. Alexis, I swear to God. Hi, I have neighbors.
Yeah.
They're very loud, but they're trying their best. Also, she's usually quiet.
But no, I think that is such a good term, like, because it's like, when it comes to, right, calling vanilla sex, why not call it, I don't know, lovey-dovey. Okay, it's not a good term, don't get me wrong. Lovey-dovey sex. Simple. Why don't they call it simple sex?
Oh, they just call it missionary, which is the boring sex. I don't know. I haven't. We're not. This is
okay.
An
Actually,
educational podcast.
we're gonna. It's okay. We're getting off the deep end, but I think the point is that with this evidence, right, vanilla, there, from what you're telling me, there is definitely a negative connotation that exists, and I think it's. You know what? I think vanilla, to be honest, is not as recognized as chocolate, right?
Yeah.
Don't you agree? Like, I feel like chocolate's more seen as a flavor profile than vanilla itself.
And oftentimes, if you do see vanilla being highlighted, it's often in connection to chocolate.
Yeah. Like a typical, like, for instance, I'm working at a chocolate bakery. Everything is catered for chocolate, so... all of our chocolate blackout cakes, vanilla, like 6 tablespoons of that. Like, and apparently it enhances the chocolate more.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you believe that there's such thing as too much vanilla?
That is, I hate to say it, but I feel like it's hard to sense when there's too much vanilla. I can't taste it. I have overdosed some cookies and cakes with vanilla before, and I never really... I never get like blarg, like
Yeah.
it's not something I spit out. But I will say, like, if you put too much chocolate or cocoa powder in something, automatically you can taste the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? Like, it's like, I think vanilla is such a more safer, versatile ingredient. Rather, chocolate is a little bit bold, and you have to be more careful.
Mm-hmm. Vanilla is often called the garlic of the baking world, where there's never too much garlic. People say there's never too much vanilla. You measure vanilla with your heart, according to one mommy blog I found.
Yeah, did she put like a shot of vanilla?
Several shots. She also put a shot of vanilla into her coffee and said that it was a healthy coffee drink.
I think there's two extremes. One that hate vanilla and one that will sleep with the actual vanilla pod.
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
I know a famous YouTuber, his name is Tomska, famously hates vanilla. He says it smells like moldy milk and that he'd rather throw up than have to be around people who like vanilla.
To me that's so confusing. What about the candles that are vanilla?
Hates those.
That's so
he despises
insane.
them.
Oh, and speaking of which, you know what? I will say this. I only know how vanilla is prepared in Western society. I'm curious, in other places of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Is vanilla used anything differently? Is it used in more savory? Have you ever seen it used in savory stuff?
Actually, I have.
Yeah.
So there is a butter company, which I'm going to butcher completely because my French is terrible, called Le Beurre Bourget. They produce a vanilla bean butter, and there is a restaurant in the city that I have unfortunately forgotten the name of, that prepares an anchovy dish where they put the vanilla butter on top, which complements the saltiness of the fish.
Wow.
Which, yes, vanilla does have its savory applications, but personally, I would not try that.
I'm curious, was it actually tasty, or was it more like an acquired taste? Like, you would have to be used to it?
Oh, absolutely acquired, because most people taste vanilla and they just go, don't put that near my fish.
That sounded such a, like, innuendo.
Please don't put vanilla near any of your body parts except your mouth. I'm begging.
But anyway, what's the word? That's so interesting, vanilla butter. Because I feel like if it's applied in savory dishes, is it more for aroma or was it for...
It was for flavor. Like, you know how people who associate warming spices like cinnamon, garlic, and clove mostly do holiday baking with it? They're also used in spices and savory cooking all around the world.
That is true.
But these spices are mostly associated with baking in Western palates.
No, that is very true. You know, my background is Bengali, and as you know, like, cinnamon sticks are very important in a lot of our curries. No, I think, so do you think overall, right, do you think, I'm kind of gonna do like a vanilla versus chocolate, but who do you think is the most liked or the most misunderstood?
I would say vanilla is misunderstood. A lot of people assume it's just a baking ingredient, and they don't think outside of that. I'm someone who, if I go to One Girl Cookies, I'm ordering the double vanilla cupcake. I can't stand the chocolate cupcakes.
I want to ask, what do you think are the top misconceptions about vanilla besides the plainness? Like, how do you think people just approach it the wrong way? Like, how to use it, how to...
I feel as though many people just think that vanilla is this thing that comes in a small bottle that you find in the McCormick brand in the baking section if you happen to be American, that you just put in baked goods, or if you're feeling a little fancy, put it in your pancake batter when you're making breakfast.
I hate to say it, but I even think like that as well, sadly.
For me, vanilla is something I add to... I love chocolate everything. So when I was making a dish of champurrado, which I've said incorrectly probably, that with chocolate that you gave me actually, I added a hearty dash of vanilla from the Halala company.
Was it the chocolate from Mexico?
It is.
Yeah.
And so that really brightened the whole thing up.
Oh my god. I came back from a Mexico trip. As you know, it's a big deal in Mexico. It's where it originated.
It's the birthplace of vanilla.
But what's crazy is that I feel like they treat vanilla as its own entity. Like, I never seen it in chocolate or hot chocolate, actually. Like, I only seen it as, what's the word? I don't know how to I literally only seen it in, like, you know, cakes, desserts, where they just want it to shine purely. Like, I think, what's the word? They're not as diverse in their, I ain't gonna lie, they're not diverse in their desserts, but I think they have a huge respect in the way desserts should be shine. Yeah. You know?
I mean, if you ever go to Mexico and you have a vanilla concha,
yes. Oh my god, it's so... You can smell it a mile away when it's baked too.
Oh, absolutely.
The way churros... there was this churro stand I went, it's like one of the oldest churro shops, And this tourist shop was well known for being authentic because it was a shop before the Spanish came and conquered. So they did like that, because Spanish, when they came and conquered, they added eggs into their churro batter and milk products. But the traditional Mexican one is without eggs or milk. It's actually accidentally vegan, and they would always do with vanilla sugar, and it was just this simplistic, very simplistic, where the vanilla shines by itself. And I think in America, what I see is that we need vanilla to mix with something else, and it's always chocolate.
Yeah.
And that's why people don't recognize vanilla, because it's always being mixed with the other side hoe. I mean, the other, well, at this point, it's the main hoe. But that's what I realize, why it's not really, that's what I think why it would be taken for granted, at least here.
You just know a fun fact about European countries? They typically don't have vanilla extract. When you see these packets of vanilla sugar in stores...
Yes, I have, actually. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so one packet of that is meant to equal about 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavor. So that's why they add that and replace a little bit of the sugar in the recipe with that for vanilla flavoring.
Wow.
It's specifically popular in...
Italy, right?
Italy, Holland, off the top of my head, most the Netherlands specifically, and France.
Wow. Oh my god, it's so insane. Like, because vanilla comes in so many different forms depending on that country, right? Like, I know I have seen, vanilla puree. I don't think that's really used a lot. Am I saying that right?
Most vanilla puree is also known as vanilla paste.
Thank you.
Paste.
Sorry. Yes, vanilla paste. I don't know why we use it when we use it. I'm being honest with you. So if you can, like,
yeah, of course.
You know.
Vanilla bean paste is typically used when you want a heavier vanilla flavor, or if you have it and you don't have any extract, you typically use vanilla bean paste and you don't have to use as much. It's very hyper concentrated vanilla. They use the entire pot in that.
Oh, so there's no waste.
There's no waste.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah, I know it was for high concentration, but I didn't know it was just ultimately. Yeah.
There's a company that does this thing called the Chef's Trio that's always on sale. They offer a 16-ounce vanilla bean paste, 16-ounce bottle of vanilla extract, and another 16-ounce bottle of vanilla extract with seeds. And they all have different sweetness levels. They're all made with sugar, unfortunately, but what can you do? And it's from the Halela company that's based in New Zealand. And they have vanilla for all of your needs. They also have double strength vanilla. There's different strengths of vanilla. Did you know that?
No, I did not. Do you know how, like, is it like they scale it in numbers? Like, level 1, level 2, level 3.
I know in the U.S. it's different folds.
Oh my god.
Like regular vanilla is single fold. Extra strength is double fold.
And is folding the name of the process of extracting?
I guess it's just the name of the strength.
Ah, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I learned that a few days ago, and I was like, wow, that's really weird.
Oh my god. So I'm curious, what strength is the one we see, the McCormick?
That's single fold.
That's single fold. Oh my god, so that's the lowest strength, right?
Yeah, but it's usually made with the lowest quality beans, McCormick.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, so I think the best way to end it here.
Yeah, of course.
Name great brands that you recommend that you think are like A, ethical, B, awesome strength, like great flavoring, and overall somewhat of a decent price. I think a little pricier is okay for this kind of stuff.
Well, as I mentioned before, this isn't available internationally. It's also really good price. It's almost always on sale. It's the Halela company that's New Zealand based. They make some lovely vanilla extract. There's also Singing Dog, which is based in upstate New York, it's lovely extract. I've had it at school.
Oh yes, I have seen this in your room actually. Yes,
that's really
I know what you're talking about.
And then there's also, if you're in the U.S., but more widely available, there's Costco's Kirkland brand vanilla. It's a 16-ounce bottle for $11 at this moment in time.
Yeah, I have been using it. I do think it's stronger than McCormick. You can smell it, and also the viscosity is so much thicker, right? That's usually a sign where it's a stronger fold, would you say?
Yeah, I would say that's they use more vanilla.
Okay. Okay, but thank you so much. Oh my god, you have done so much research. You're like a library in the head. No.
Yeah. Well, I was really happy having you on. Oh my god, please stop turning off. It was really nice having you on. You're a lovely co-host. And I would love to have you on for future episodes, Sosa.
Yeah, let me know, guys, if you want me on again.
Would you like to plug any social media that you happen to be on?
So you can find me at hungryheathen_ on Instagram. I am focused on traveling and blogging and pictures. If you have any questions or any recommendations of where I've been and etc., you can always DM me.
All right, thank you so much. And that concludes our first episode. There will be more, of course. The next episode will be Citrus, and our special guest will be Jesse Kunez. He is a chocolatier at Janoon in the city, a lovely fine dining Indian restaurant. And that will be all that there is for today. Signing off, Ollie.